lucky woman. For peanut.
Welcome to Market Makers, everybody. Your home for tomorrow's TA today. Often imitated, never replicated. Guys, I'm making this update video for you today because I'm probably taking next week off from YouTube. I'll still be making my live streams on the Discord next week. But if you would like to join our Discord, there's a couple people asking in the comments. All you have to do is click that join button right there on YouTube underneath this video. There's a little video there. If you've never used Discord before, walks you through it. It's very simple. Would love to see you guys in the room. Now, let's talk about the last video. The red sweep came true 100%, as many of you noted in the comments section. How did I know that? Again, it wasn't anything magical. It was quite simply just looking at the sentiment. Gallup did a poll just before the election last week, and it said 79% of Americans believe that the country is on the wrong track. Anecdotally, looked at my friends, looked at my family members that are working 2 jobs, my friends that took on extra work. Why? Because of inflation being at 26% embedded inflation in the cost of everything. Nobody was happy. Very easy prediction to predict. And of course, when you have everybody predicting one thing, such as Bloomberg, who brought on economist after economist predicting a sweep for the Democratic Party, well, it was just quite easy to be contrarian. And that's what I thought would happen. And that's what happened. We have Donald Trump won again, becoming the first president since 1892 to win 2 non-consecutive terms. That's how long it has been. Not only did he win the presidency, we won the Senate, and we won. It looks like we're going to hold the Congress still. So it should be a complete red sweep. So what does that mean for markets? Well, it gave catalyst, a huge catalyst for the Trump pump. The title of the last video. By the way, guys, if you watch that video, consider yourself lucky because YouTube did not want to put it in the algorithm. They notified us it may contain questionable content not suitable for my audience. So they basically delisted us from the algo. They demonetized the video, which who cares? You get about $10 a video anyways. It's a joke. But the big thing was they didn't promote it on people's phones, promote it in YouTube. So if you didn't watch it, you may want to go back and watch it because everything we talked about came true. So what I want to do in this video is go over the markets. Actually, Powell's talking in about 25 minutes for the rate cut, the expected 25 basis point rate cut, just like it did in GFC. 50 basis points September 18th, same exact day, same exact cut. Then the Fed went 25-25 and in January had an emergency meeting. Could play out quite similar to that. But we want to look at these key levels from the Trump pump that we predicted so you guys can see where you want to be on your trades, okay? I know it's very important, again, to understand the macro. I want to do something for you guys. I want to save you guys dozens of hours of work, right? Because there's so many YouTubers out there and people are watching things about the euro dollar. People are watching things every day. Some of these YouTubers put out videos on their daily videos. Look how weak the economy is. Look how weak this is. Look how weak manufacturing is. And you feel like you have to watch it so you can understand what's going on. Let me save you a ton of time, okay? The market is going to be bullish because the big money wants it to be bullish and they believe we are in a soft landing. When will that trigger? When will that change? That will change when we hit peak resistance and when unemployment and jobs show that the recession is imminent. That's when it will change. Now, understand the macro of what's happening. You're only going to get this information here on this channel. So by the way, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Understand the macro of what's happening. Here's what's happening in the space right now. The party in power is now going to be removed from power. However, Trump and his administration, which they will have to appoint thousands of people, will not be in until January. At some point, if you've been watching this channel this year, you already know this. The government has been cooking all of the numbers, the job gains. We know about the massive revision. Again, reminded you of that last video, 818,000. 3 decades of Bloomberg data, you got a recession every time. Unemployment rules triggered, you get a recession every time. Yield curve inversion, 3-month tenure, 100% track record for all of these indicators, by the way, 12 and 0. So understand the recession, regardless of who's in power, is coming. The difference will be, the catalyst will be, the trigger will be when they stop publishing the cooked numbers. Now, if you think the Democrat Party wants to do Trump's party any favors at all and keep cooking these numbers, well, you're going to be in for a very rude awakening, just like all the economists and all the market managers that come on Bloomberg. They're going to wake up one of these coming months and be like, oh, wait, we were expecting 175,000 jobs and we got 90,000. And you're going to see big red bars going straight down your screen. So here's the whole thing. Will they stop cooking the numbers for December? Will they stop cooking the numbers for January? Will they just finish out the next couple of months? Trump comes in, they stop auditing these numbers. I guess auditing wouldn't be the right word. They stop editing these numbers, stop gaslighting the public about how strong the economy is, because Americans by and large know the economy is not strong. If they thought the economy was strong, as you're told ad nauseum from the mass gaslighting of the mainstream mass media, then they would have kept the party in power that had this super strong economy. But in reality, 43% of Americans don't have $400 in their checking account. That's how weak the economy is. All-time high on credit card debt, loan defaults back to GFC levels. Again, the massive job revisions, people having to work more, people understanding how much more expensive gas is, how much more expensive food is. So all of that came into effect in the voting. But Bloomberg doesn't realize this. CNBC doesn't realize this. And certainly the money managers on Wall Street do not realize this, because by and large, per survey, over 80% think we are in a soft landing. So could the next job print, which I think comes out, December 6th? And again, unemployment, if that ticks up, we're at 4.1 right now. If you go back up to 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, if that job print heavily disappoints because they let the real numbers come out, well, guys, get ready and be prepared, because the Santa Claus rally that they're already talking about will be canceled. Having said that, trading is about price and time in the marketplace. I want to show you the peak levels of resistance. I want to show you how I got these levels. And of course, you want to trade with us, then check out the Discord. Lee, without further ado, let's start the show. We did this one for peanut, ladies and gentlemen. All right, boys and girls, let's go ahead and start off here on the VIX. By the way, that SimpleFX tournament kicked off. If you want to compete in that tournament, make an account, follow the rules there. I'll pin it in the YouTube comments. Fantastic exchange. If you're outside of America, check it out. You will love it. You can trade everything. If you want to trade just cryptos, then check out Bitunix. Again, it helps support the channel. By the way, some people sent super thanks. I appreciate it. Very kind of you to do so. Just want to throw that out there. Let's go on the VIX. VIX is dropping to 15.6. Again, rally territory, right? Rally territory, hugging this base down here. It's going to spike back up, but for now it's dropping, which means prices are moving up. Guys, all these targets we've had, if you've been watching this channel for the whole year, I'm going to walk you through this. Understand the macro market here that controls the destiny of the global financial system is the S&P, which is represented here by the E-mini futures on the S&P. We're going to get into some knowledge here. You're only going to see this on this channel. Modified shift pitchfork from the pandemic low. up to your previous all-time high, down to their retracement level low, tracking beautifully. Next key level, the 786, up here about 6,100. Beyond that, you're in the 6,300 range. But I want to show you guys some key concepts here. So we're looking at this with price and time, okay? Price and time is key to understand. Let's just look at this. If we go to the retracement level low, out to this week that I marked here, we're on a weekly chart, by the way, out to this week that I marked here, I was talking about this on our Discord channel, the 25th, right? The weekly candle of the 25th, November 2024. I want to draw your attention here to some interesting numerology. 111 bars, 777 days. This is really interesting. Why? 111. So 111, that's 3, right? 777. Now, if you look at this from a biblical perspective, it's the hand of perfection, it's the hand of God. If you look at this from a GFC perspective, that represents the exact amount of points the Dow fell for the largest point drop in US history at that point, 777 points. This could be a very interesting week to watch, that week beginning Monday, November 25th. Could be a top, could be a big drop in the market. Let's look at some other things here. Let's look at some other key concepts vis-a-vis Fibonacci. Now, you guys have seen me draw this already many times. Let's go ahead and do the trend-based fib extension, right? So we go to the pandemic low, previous all-time high, which is January 2022, to the retracement level low, 6136. And what pattern does that complete? A giant ABC pattern, which I'll go ahead and draw that right now. Put this here. Let's do this right here. Let's go here. And let's go here, and here's your C wave. That would be your 6136, okay? Giant ABC, just so you can see that. Let's get rid of this tool so we can look at this from some other Fibonacci confluence. We have 6136 completes the giant ABC, which, as you guys know, the NASDAQ already did. Now let's look at this from some other Fibonacci methods. If you go to that January 2022 high, down to the retracement level low, you see your 1618 at 5615. You can see that held up beautifully for a lot of volatility, big drop, right? You got a big drop here off the weekly from 5721 back down 600 points, down below 5163. You got back on top of this key resistance or key support, key resistance now, or key support now, and you're pumping up. But most importantly, look at this. So that was your 1618, right? Where's your 200%? You're doubling the expansion Fibonacci of this range is right on top of 6136 at 6114, okay? Again, very important to understand expansion contraction concepts, geometric trading in the marketplace. A lot of confluence at that 6100 level. When you're at this level in the market, I start viewing the S&P in $50 chunks. So I'd be looking at 6100, 6150 in that range. But wait, there's more. This is like a ShamWow commercial. You guys already know about the giant W patterns. We cover these on the daily. Let's go ahead and take our W here from the peak to the low of that W, 1618, 6092. Again, Fibonacci confluence. What does this mean? Does this mean you absolutely short at 6100, 6150? No, it doesn't. As you guys know, this is speculation. This is gambling. We're looking for this to hold as resistance in this range. Interestingly enough, where would it go if it pumped through it, right? It just kept going, 63.22, or the top of that pitchfork that I just showed you. So this range right in there, 6100, 6150, I would pay close attention to this range because we're at 6,000 right now at the time of this recording. We already touched 6,000. Powell's going to be speaking here in about 20 minutes. Anticipate it. He's going to cut 25 basis points. Let's see if he's dovish. I don't think he'll reference the election at all. He doesn't want to be political. He's basically a neutered man. So you want to see if he's dovish, and I guarantee you he'll probably say we're data dependent on the next cut, right? Well, let's just assume the market continues to rally. That's where I'm looking at the next key area, 6,000, 6100 to 6150 in that range. Now, you're probably wondering, what are these circles over here? Guys, this is the only channel on YouTube you're going to see this type of, what do you even call this, analysis. But let's go over this, okay? So you guys know I basically trade with a combination of Dow theory, Gann concepts, as well as Wyckoff concepts and geometric trading concepts. Natural law of trading. Let's look at this. If we were to come up, let's look at our price range tool here. If we were to come up from the pandemic low to the 100% move, let's go ahead and get up here. That's a 180% move. 180% move. Charles Dow took a circle. This is how he came up with his retracement levels, which are also used as expansion levels. Okay. And you can see, just as this basic concept here, 0 degrees as well as 360. Top of your circle, 180, pivot. In other words, what am I saying? Looking for a pivot up in that range, okay? You can see this expressed in other things as well, such as bar counts, day counts, percentage counts. So this is what we're looking at. This 180 degrees on the circle potential pivot, right? As a percentage gain. What about if we do it from our retracement level low? Let's go ahead and take it here. Come up to 61.36 level, 75% gain off the retracement level low. What does that mean? Well, if you take a circle, guys, and divide it by 4, it's 3/4 of the circle, which is, I tried to color it in here. Triangles didn't work out very well. TradingView really needs some better geometric tools, but you can see what I'm doing right here. So you have your triangles, 3/4 of your circle is covered. So again, looking for a key inflection point right there in that range. Just be aware of it. Don't sleep on it. Guys, we've been watching this channel. We've been nailing the market moves in 2024. I would say this is my best year as far as predictions going back to 2022. 2022 crushed it, retired just shortly before the trade full time. And here we are in 2024. You guys got the biggest moves in the marketplace, actually since October 2023, if the Bitcoin pump out of the diamond pattern, just by watching this channel. This is your next key level to watch, okay? Let's go ahead and move forward. If we move forward here to the ES on the daily time frame, you see our W pattern. What are these gray circles? Well, let's talk about them real quick. These gray circles, this would be your super moon that, again, I warned you guys about weeks ahead of time, provided the exact top in the marketplace, and we got a 200-point drop that we shorted on the Discord. Now we have the Trump pump in full effect. By the way, what's this blue circle down here? That's the new moon, which happened the day before the exact bottom in the marketplace for the S&P mini. Now understand, again, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. When you start having these play out in this way, they typically play out in threes. The next full moon is November 15th, which is a Friday. You want to see if you rally into this, which would be what? Next Friday? What's today? Today's the 7th. It would be next Friday. You want to see if you start making some topping action, meaning you start going sideways. So you could get there today. You could get there tomorrow. But let's see if you just start chopping around in here, making topping action, and start to descend if this is the level we are going to fall from. When we pull our fib, as we just did on the weekly time frame, let's pull our fib from wave 1 down to 2. This 1618, again, 6,092, 6136 for the giant ABC. Then there's your 200% expansion, 6322. How do you know if you're going to go to 6322? Quite simply, you got to flip that 6,100, 6,150 range, get on top of it, right? You'll get some chop, you'll get a pullback, ultimately make some type of pattern like a W to continue up. Could it get there? Sure. I need to see how it reacts once it gets up to this range, okay? That's a key range, as we just went over on a weekly time frame. Lots of Fibonacci confluence at that range. We have a strong catalyst. The market's overdone. And again, we have Powell today talking here shortly. You'll see this video. You'll see Powell, then you'll see this video. But let's see if he continues the rally. I don't anticipate him switching gears and being hawkish. So even if you get some type of little pullback from this massive Trump pump that you got, I think you're still going to proceed to these blow-off top targets, okay? So just be aware of that, guys. What are we doing here on the indicators? Money flow is trying to turn back up, get back to the bullish territory. Obviously, momentum is bullish. Why? Because you have the massive candle that you got on the daily with the Trump pump. Huge candle. You had the low at 58.14, the high at 59.67. 150-point candle, guys. The Dow went up 1,500 plus points. Freaking crazy. Strong confluence for resistance. Watch that level. Thank me later. Let's look at the Dow. On the Dow, here's your W pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So here's your W pattern. Again, I highlighted the supermoon, which the Dow topped the day after the supermoon. The Dow bottomed the day after the new moon. And again, November 15th is the next lunar cycle. Now, what did the Dow do? Talking about this from a Fibonacci perspective, pulling our fib, wave 1, wave 2. You got to the 1618 right here, perfect hit. And then what did you do? You sold off 1,800 points. The Trump pump, look at that freaking candle, 1,520 points, right? And you can see you're above the 1618. You're kind of stalling out. The 200% expansion of that range is 44,803. This is Dow futures, okay? Dow futures on the daily. This is YM1 chart. 44,803 could be your next level up, but the Dow has been underperforming the S&P and the NASDAQ all year. So something else I can do here, understanding the Fibonacci tool set here, we can look at the 1.732. This is not a Fibonacci number. Look at the price though, 43,964. Look at the Dow, 43,903. What's the current high? The previous or the high was 44,000. So 1.732 is the square root of 3. Okay, you have to understand geometric trading concepts. Oftentimes you will find them adhering. If the Dow can flip this, the S&P goes up another 100 points. The Dow may not move up any further. It may be topping in this range. But if the S&P goes up to that 6,100, 6,150 range, you want to see if the Dow can come up more to that 44,803. If not, it may start ping-ponging up in this range on top of that 43,607 and just quite simply make a very basic three-wave shape, something like this, okay? Something like you go up, come down, do something like this and make your double top. And then you start to descend around that time period. So watch the Dow. What about the NASDAQ? We've been over this from the pandemic low. You had a quadrupling in the marketplace. Your giant ABC, right? Pandemic low. Whoops. Pandemic low. Let me get my brush down here. There's your previous November 2021 high with Bitcoin in the Russell. There's your retracement ABC, 20,623 weekly time frame. This held all the way as the top since July. Okay, so basically, what is that? 5 months? 5 months somewhere in there. This held as the top. So now you're breaking out of 20,623. Do it have any Fibonacci confluence? Well, if you looked at your top of November 2021, all the way down to your retracement level low, look what you did. Look, the 1618 is right on top of that ABC. You see that? 20,623, 20,650. That was your 1618. And look at the reaction you had off the 1618. You had price go from 21K all the way down here to 17.3. Okay, that's the reaction you got. Now you're breaking above it. So you want to watch these levels above the Dow, which we're going to go over here in a second. And if you look at it from this perspective, this is 23,050 if the Dow kept rallying up from here, okay, using this exact same Fibonacci layout. The 1.732 is 21,366. You're already at 21,176. I would anticipate this getting taken out. And let me show you something that nobody else is going to show you. I'm doing a lot of this today, showing you stuff nobody else is going to show you. You see the giant W pattern on the weekly time frame, right? Let's look at the giant W pattern real quick. So here's our W pattern. Pull it from the top to that retracement level low. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch more of my videos, join our Discord, because this is how I trade. There's your W pattern, right? There's your 1272, 21,971, just roughly 750, 800 points higher. Want to watch this inflection point? Where's your 1618? 23,228. Now, let me explain something to you. Okay, this is my opinion, but I think I'm going to be proven right yet once again. If we get to 21,971 on NASDAQ, another 800 points up, look, that guarantees Bitcoin's going between our targets of 80K, or which is 80,800 to 89K. That's if the NASDAQ gets up to 21,971. What happens if the NASDAQ gets to 23,228? That's your 100K Bitcoin. Mark my words. NASDAQ comes up to 23,228. Anywhere up here, you're going to see Bitcoin go to that 98K level. We're going to look at it on the charts. You've been watching these videos. You've known about these targets for months and months and months. Right around here, 21,971. That's Bitcoin crossing the 80,800, completing the ABC, going between 80,800 and 89K. Get up to that 23.2 and anywhere above it, that guarantees, in my opinion, your 98K Bitcoin. And I'll show you why in the charts. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Let's look at this from measurement perspective as well, okay? So if we look at this from the retracement level low, you're already at 100%, the natural doubling. Charles Dow wrote a lot about this, natural doubling in the marketplace. You hit that already. If you come up to the 1618, you're at 120%. What does that mean? Well, 120%, guys, is if you divide a circle in threes, right? And you look at it as degrees, 120, 240, 360. Okay, so this would be 1/3 of your circle. So again, most of these key levels, it's amazing how Fibonacci, which Charles Dow did not use, lines up perfectly with geometric shapes such as the circle and the divisions thereof, dividing them by 3, 5, 6, 8, right? You can get these same levels. It's really interesting to see. So that's a key inflection point if the NASDAQ rallies up. And by the way, NVDA, which we'll cover in this video as well, remember, NVDA reports earnings on the 20th, largest stock in the world. So I think you're going to at least get to this 21,971, another 800 points higher with the rate cut, with NVIDIA earnings, with the euphoria in the marketplace. And that should be your 80K Bitcoin to your 89K in that range. And then if we get up to that blow off top target, the 1618, 23,228, again, that will be your 98K Bitcoin. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. Looking at NASDAQ here on the daily time frame. This is NQ1, guys. This is NASDAQ mini futures. So when you're looking at this, I marked this here, pulled the fib from wave 1 to 2. You can see 21,971, next destination. That's what we're looking for. Next destination up on the NASDAQ, held the 50, held the midpoint here in your 3-wave, and you're moving up. There's your 23,228 if you can get up there. You're already seeing Bitcoin approach 80K as the NASDAQ is pushing up. Remember, the NASDAQ has an 80% to 93% correlation to Bitcoin since the pandemic low. Let's continue to move on. Let's look at the Russell. Now, in 2016, when Trump came in, the Russell pumped like crazy because, again, he's perceived to be very good for domestic business, okay? And the Russell did not fail. And if you look at the Russell did, massive pump up. So what was this? Well, this is a 3-day chart. But this was a big pump up on the Russell. I think it was a 7% gain. And now where are we hitting? So first of all, let's back up because the Russell obviously has been underperforming. So the ABC for the Russell is way up there, something like 3,200 or something. I'm not even looking at that right now because we're sitting here at 2,400. So what I'm thinking the Russell may do if the S&P and NASDAQ come up to their targets, you want to watch the Russell and see if it comes up to 2523, which by the way is a new all-time high, previous all-time high, 2460. And if it comes up beyond that, 2650. These are my next two levels on the Russell. Why do I think, and what is this pattern, by the way, I'm showing you? It's a giant double top, right? It's a false break double top. Remember, here's your high. That would mean over here, you're breaking higher than your previous high, but it's a false break double top because it's topping out and rolling over. Okay, so again, want to watch these levels. Could the Russell outperform and just keep ripping? Of course. Again, this is gambling. I don't care what anybody tells you who's trying to tell you to buy their $1,000, $5,000 garbage trading system based on moving averages and trend lines, guys. This is speculation. Every single old school trading book will tell you that. Charles Dow called it speculation. Wyckoff, Gann, everybody knew. What is speculation another word for? Gambling. You're gambling, okay? What we're doing here is looking at these levels, 2,500, 2,650. Right up in this range is where I'm looking for the Russell to get to. Now, if we zoom in here on the 3-day chart, we can see, even on the 3-day, the W that I'm looking at right here, right? Here's my W pattern. And these are the projections based off of it. And that's why I'm looking at it, because you're hung up beautifully right there at 2409. You see, hitting the 1272. Next level up, 2523. View it by levels. That's how you should view this market. Continuing on, looking at the DAX. So the DAX did something interesting when Trump won and the markets were doing their massive Trump pumps. The DAX was participating as it has all year long, right? It follows the US markets. However, and we talked about this before, I have my key DAX level, the giant ABC from the pandemic low, 20,200. The giant W pattern here, the breakout of the Wyckoff range, brings you up to 20,200 once again, okay? The projected fibs. But the DAX rallied up and then it sold off hardcore. I think part of that is because Trump and tariffs, right? He's looking at putting tariffs on countries that don't build products here. And obviously, the German car companies don't know yet how that would affect them. It's sold right back off down to the 50 and is rallying back up once again. Now, where the DAX is hung up and where you should pay attention is left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Okay. That's your 5-wave pattern that you have on the DAX right now. Represent it like this, 5 waves. Let's go ahead and pull this magnet. This is the pattern that has to be broken to come up to our top. There's your 1, there's your 2, there's your 3, there's your 4, and right now that's your 5, okay? And when you look at this from a Fibonacci perspective, let me zoom in some. So there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it's confusing. Just use your imagination here. You look at this from a Fibonacci perspective, pull your fib from 3 down to the low of 4 there. You came right up to the 786 fib, which is where you sold off. So to break this, you got to break above 19,651, okay? You get above that 19,651, then you come on up above 19,8. If you can take out 19,8, then this 5-wave pattern does not matter, and you were coming up to 20,200 to complete the giant ABC. Also Fibonacci confluence with this Wyckoff range of 1 down to 2. Look at your 1618, 20,200. Is that enough for you? But wait, there's more. What about the range that you've made on your head and shoulders pattern? 5-wave pattern. Go to your high, pull it down to your low. Boom, 1618, 20,238. Again, trading for me is all about layers of confluence. How many layers of confluence? It is not a guarantee the DAX will even get here. It is not a guarantee this will stop the DAX. Maybe it does this, right? Maybe the blow off tops aren't in. But for me, it's about the layers of confluence. When am I willing to risk my hard-earned money to try to make more money? And for me, it's up here at the DAX at 20,200. Unless the markets start rolling and you still have this 5-wave pattern, then for me, that would be a short, okay? But that's not where we're at right now. So pay attention to 20,200. Looking at Bitcoin, what a lot of you were waiting for, I made you wait this whole way through. If you look at this, 76,600, okay? 76,600. Again, this has just been fantastic, the way the Bitcoin calls have been going, because again, I said this last video, but if you go back to October 2023, guys, we had the diamond pattern breakout, set that up for you, 131% gain. Told you where this would have retraced to, back down to this cluster of candles, and you got down to 48K, right? Mid 40s was my prediction, and that's where you retraced to. And since then, even though a lot of people have been super bearish, once we put in this low, this has been nothing more than a series of higher lows all the way back up. And now as the NASDAQ took out its one from the 100% move from the giant ABC, I told you for weeks now, Bitcoin was going to at least get to the 100% move. Why? Because of the NASDAQ correlation. So 80,804 is that move. Another thing we need to do here, I was showing this on the Discord yesterday as well. When you look at your previous ranges here, go to your retracement low here at B, right? Look at your previous wave movements up, 106% move, right? Then you had the next Wyckoff range, which formed the diamond pattern. You got your breakout to the next accumulation range. Go to the peak of that next accumulation range, 102%. Now let's do this again. Now, if we go to the base of this accumulation range, up to the previous peak here of this accumulation, this channel range, 91.6%, almost 92%, 106, 102, 92. So if we go to the base of this, what is an accumulation range, why is it accumulation, not distribution? Because you took out the high, right? If we go to this level and look at 80,804, that's 65%. But what if Bitcoin wants to do what it did the two previous legs? This average, by the way, is basically 102% when you average all these together, right? So when you start looking at this and you go up to the 100% mark, right? Let's just go up to the 100% mark, something Bitcoin did on two of these three legs or greater, that takes you up to what? Well, let's just use a fib and look. Oh my God. Pull from your previous all-time high to your low. That takes you up to the same target you guys have had since March 2024, 98,742. If Bitcoin does what it has previously done, all the way since the low of November 2022, then this could take you up to 98,742, which, as you guys know, I have been calling 100K. If it only gets to that 89K mark, that's an 82% move. If it only gets to the 80,800, 65% move. Not saying it has to go higher than that, but understand what I'm saying is that looking at the fractal pattern Bitcoin has done here on the weekly time frame, it makes mathematical sense that Bitcoin performs in line as it has been doing for the last 2 years. And in my mind, 89K is not unrealistic, and the 98K is the exact same leg that it has done two of the last three times, very close to the average of averaging these three legs together. So I would be looking at this, and as you know, go back and look at those NASDAQ targets. Watch the broader markets. If the NASDAQ gets to its higher level target, I think Bitcoin's getting there. And you're almost at the 80K already. You're at 76,562. Again, who else is showing you this, guys? Come on, give me some love. Let's look at this Bitcoin on the daily. Everybody has this stupid flag pattern. But guys, the key thing here was what? It was the low. The low, the higher low, the higher low, the higher low, and now you're breaking out, right? So again, pulling that same Fibonacci from the top here of your range, previous all-time high, down to that retracement level low, 80,619, 89K, 98,755, okay? Watch 80,619. All of these levels, by the way, if any of them have any significance, they can provide some type of sideways basing structure, and that's where you can trade breakouts from if the markets are still going up, right? These sideways structures, Wyckoff ranges, you can form patterns. We'll see what happens with Powell. Powell's probably speaking. Let me look at my phone. Yeah, it's 1:30. I think he speaks at 2. So we'll see what happens, but I anticipate markets continuing up here for the short term until the rug pull of the data. So watch those levels, guys. What does this mean for Solana? Solana, we've been tracking this forever. We know, you guys have known, you got to flip the 188, right? This is your fractal peaks here. You flip the 188, you're at 196 right now. You need to take out 210. Bitcoin keeps moving up. You'll take out 210, and then your targets are going to be 237, 272. If you get a 200% expansion of this range, you're going to 310 in Solana. But for me, 310 Solana is 98K Bitcoin, right? 89K Bitcoin, you may end up somewhere between this 237, 272, but you'll get there, okay? You'll be somewhere in that range, in my opinion. So that's what I'd be looking at Solana. The way I would look at trading Solana right now, unless you're just going to trade a pure breakout, is wait for it to hit a key level of resistance, maybe 210, and get some type of what? Some type of pullback, some type of sideways structure that you can come back into. So you pop up, you start chopping sideways, and you can decide to trade maybe on a fractal break or a bullish pattern like a W that forms. Because right now you're just in the Trump pump mode, right? But at some point it'll come up, it'll cool off, it'll start going sideways. People will think it's topping, but for me, it's going to matter what the S&P is doing, and we shall see how everything else plays out. Okay, let's look at NVIDIA because, again, their earnings are not until November 20th. Now, we took out that faux double top structure we talked about. Remember, our Fibonacci pull from this level of the W, just right here, from the 3 to the 4, was the 1618 at 149.99, right? You're almost there, right? So you're above, you made a new all-time high. You're almost at the 149. So I wanted to project this with my opinion that the S&P, the NASDAQ are still moving up, right? So I wanted to project this and take it from the 1 to the 2 and see what we got. what we got is the 1272 at 154, basically the equivalent of the 150. So key level resistance 154, and above that 171. The next two levels in NVIDIA to watch for a pullback or some type of topping structure. That's what I would be looking for, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me your questions in the YouTube comments. I answer them as always. Hope to see you guys in the Discord. And again, this is your video for next week because I'm taking some time off from YouTube for that week at least, unless something absolutely crazy happens. But I will be active in the Discord with my live streams as per usual. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Make a wish and from with the